A lot of you are saying it's fake.
The way you can tell bullshit is authentic is that it's flammable. So today we're going to play a game called Is It Bullshit?
Rashid packing Ma peanut butter bars reporting for AVO36. Hello. Recall in the previous video, the topic of scale was called into question. Note the alleged, super heavy, booster stage, and stated proportions compared with these authentic and quite famous examples of real flying machines. The rules of the game are simple. We have all seen a 747 flying high, in our skies above. We may know it has a commercial cruising altitude of 10 kilometers or around 30,000 feet. And with the naked eye, it is quite difficult to spot them, especially at their much higher long-haul altitudes. Bear this in mind when you consider what SPACEX is showing us. Here is a quick comparison in aircraft climb rates. The Russian MiG Flogger, for example, 47,000 feet per minute. Mitsubishi F2, 48,000 feet per minute. Kuching, although very impressive at 50,000 feet per minute. And from the Gripen, on through to the F-16 Viper, all doing 50,000 feet per minute. That gets them to an average altitude of 15 kilometers in 1 minute. Here I have overlaid videos from 2 independent spectators, links in the description. The sound turned off, so watch closely, as I will not be stopping the continuous footage, only prompting with remarks. I will also highlight the compilation, where necessary, to pointing out SPACEX's subtle chicanery. Thankfully both examples were captured in landscape. Complete bullshit right off the bat. How to convey 33 mismatched tiny engines, with strobing lights. The vehicle is immediately pitching, or rather, leaning downrange as noted by these diverging camera angles. The booster appears to receive an extra boost. This acceleration was not notable in the screens, left and right. Please note the video top right starts at 1:1 mode. It truly shows how little sky is needed to fool our depth perception, or you'll believe SPACEX doesn't fudge speed to distance, with erroneous altitudes and parabolic curves. Note this CGI telemetry anomaly coming up. Acceleration is dramatically slowed, momentarily in mid-flight. And we can rightly see the vehicle is now approaching the limit of the naked eye, the same for 11 kilometers cruising altitude for any large jet. Aircraft condensation trails typically dissipate quickly, whereas, on-demand clouds by seeding, is the dispersal of nucleating particles, and, here once again, SPACEX creates its trademark spectacle, vacuum magic. Note condensation trails and cloud phenomena generally form here, a convenient height marker, and SPACEX is now allegedly at 15 kilometers altitude after just over 1 minute of pitching downrange flight. Congratulations, a Chinese fighter plane would have got there 15 seconds faster. Still zoomed out, full perspective is maintained on the right. All 3 screens now show the vehicle has completely leveled off. Need I mention, this whole time it has flown with those ridiculous, stormwater grates extended, pilots call those things, air brakes. The highest point of its parabolic trajectory. Having also reached the limit of the naked eye, and they are still well within cruising altitude here. However, the CGI telemetry console continues to show an increase. Yet both these handheld phone cameras show a limited zoom and depth of field capability, and yet they continue to capture the entire sky show. They allege stage separation at 69 kilometers. The engines were throttled back, with no reduction in visibility top left. What bullshit, obviously not at 69 kilometers high. Now, say hypothetically if the wings fell off an A380 Airbus, would that even be visible past 20 kilometers, without some huge smoky fireballs? The whole show is now simply hovering, while stage 1 continues to float. Like any hybrid helium dirigible balloon, only to be remotely dumped out at sea. the booster is maintained directly above. Contrary to now completely erroneous SPACEX footage and data, within limited potato aperture settings of both phones. Stage 2, Spaceship, optically appears under the booster here, because it does in fact steadily continue to float further out to sea, away from our spectators who foolishly mistake this for some idiotic reversal of perspective. They think it is going higher and faster at the same time, while stage 1, the booster component simply hovers around in the same spot. Coming up, interestingly, the booster looks back at the cloud it laid down at the 11-kilometer mark. Is the booster really 50 kilometers higher? And please note the distorted bullshit their fisheye lens created, a backwards shadow. The rays are converging instead of diverging away beyond the cloud obstruction. What would be the point of spilling this huge amount of ejecto material here? Note the vehicle is facing arse down the whole time from indicated 95 kilometers. After the expulsion plume, the vehicle should have logically shot back up, and it never ceased to stop facing arse down, yet suddenly 7 kilometers of altitude disappeared. Contrary to the screen top left, which does show the booster accelerating upward, Mach 2+, while bobbing up and down like a pogo stick, the vehicle is still visible, perceived only as massive. I'll remind you, its mass is not weightless. And no, they are now well over 20 kilometers below the common line here, the widely accepted imaginary starting line of space. Let's face it, all this inverted backfiring nonsense is just another way for them to disguise the fact. This is nothing more than a sideshow, floating helium tube, and no higher or larger than the 747 at cruising altitude for this whole time. It is merely being shimmied along, slowly shunted back to its mooring arms. They never indicate the side stream distance traveled. Do they take us for fools? The vehicle here has traveled at Mach 3 for over 4 minutes, yet appears to hover in the same tiny arc of sky, reference frame, only bobbing up and down like a pogo stick, while telemetry pretends to fly higher and faster than the SR-71 Blackbird. Honestly, Mr. Musk. The cloud it laid down on the way up, one camera auto contrasts as the booster goes into a crazy ass first but sideways free fall, approaching 11 kilometers 747 altitude, but now allegedly in a straight line sprint, at an hilarious Mach 2+, vacuum magic. Vacuum magic.
Answer the question.
Is it bullshit?
Another smoke and mirrors stage show, where the true speed and distance was fudged with clever observation angles and CGI telemetry data. Or do you seriously expect me to believe a 200-ton, double blunt-ended open water tower just fell from the sky at over 3,000 kilometers per hour, sideways? Vacuum magic.
Answer the question.
Is it bullshit?
The Blackbird first flew in 1962 and was the world's fastest and highest flying jet airplane. You know, the Blackbird is a collection of superlatives and paradoxes. Some call it a guided missile with biological backup. How fast or how high does she really fly? I don't know. But informed sources say that Blackbird probably has a sprint speed of 2,350 miles an hour and could do Mach 3.5 at 100,000 feet. And could do Mach 3.5 at 100,000 feet.
Is it bullshit?
Last night, as I was dreaming, sky was bleeding. I heard the screaming jets. Dum 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 dum. Last night, the world was crying. I heard the children dying. I heard the screaming jets. Dum 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 dum. No more, no more. Again. No more, no more. Dum 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 dum. J. Last night, as I was crying, I heard the world was dying. There's a ring around the sun, and it looks as we're going back to where it all begun. Of course, I heard the screaming jets. No more, no more. Again. No more, no more. Dum 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 dum. Chorus. I heard the screaming jets. Again. I heard the screaming jets. Again. I heard the screaming jets. Dum 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 dum. As we fade, we die. As we fade, as we fade.
Big Starship is. Let's start with the average size human, which is about 2 meters high.